Today's daf is daf Chaf Tes, and it divides in a very solid, smooth way between Amud Aleph and Amud Beis, because Amud Aleph is a hemshech to continue the medicine that we started yesterday, and then we get back to real heavy Masech Avoda Zara on Amud Beis. So here we're going to start with, again, a lot of different things about bloodletting, about Hakozas Dam that was very popular and common at the time of Chazal. And Tachle Vesibura Sakanta, there's a certain kind of a growth called Tachle, which is in English it's called a cress, C-R-E-S-S, and it could be very dangerous if you eat it and you're bloodletting. Ishta Vesibura Sakanta. Also, bloodletting while you have a fever is very dangerous. The body is weak. Also, if you're suffering from some sort of an eye ailment, that's not a good time for hakozas dam. Sheni l'dog dam, sheni l'dog dam. So that the Chazal always understood that the third day after surgery is the most dangerous day. So therefore, if you're eating fish, it's okay to eat fish the second day after bloodletting.
Then I'll talk to you later.
But shlishi, on the third day after bloodletting, when the body is very weak, sakanta. Fish is something dangerous at that point. So again, it seems like you can eat fish on the day of bloodletting, on the second day after bloodletting, but not on the third day after bloodletting. Tana Rabbanan. Hamakis dam lo yochal chag bash. So these are Rashi Tevis. Lo cholav, lo gvina, lo bitzolim, lo shachalim. So there are four things, four foodstuffs that he should avoid when he's bloodletting. Milk, cheese, onions, and shachalim. We just said that shachalim, otherwise known as tachle in Aramaic, is called cress. So these are the things that he should avoid eating. But Amar Abaye, im achal, if let's say he went ahead and he ate those foods, he still has a remedy, and he could strengthen the body by Nesei Reviasa Dechal Viasa Decham. So he should bring a revius and mix a revius of wine with a revius of vinegar. Now, Rabbeinu Vahadi Adadi, Vinishte drinks this concoction. V'chi mifnei, now, when he eats this concoction, it'll have an impact on his large intestine and the feces that he'll defecate. So therefore, he should not. Mifna means to defecate. El mizracha shalir mishum dekasha recha, so that the eastern wind of the city will take away the odor, the terrible foul odor of his stool, which could injure other people. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, malin avankare v'Shabbos. What is avankare? So the Gemara immediately says, Amar Rabba is tumcha deliba. So this is a certain muscle in the heart, and if he's suffering from this, then we're allowed to implement a medical procedure in order to protect his heart, even on Shabbos. And what is this medical procedure? What is the remedy, the cure? Maya Sutta, Maisi Kamona Karvaya, Vininya, V'agadita, V'tzisri, V'avdalsa. So apparently he mixes a bunch of different ingredients, and presumably he's going to apply that to his body. So number one, something called cumin, otherwise known as kamona. Interesting similarity in the etymology of the word. and mint, and something else called a saftida, savory, and hyssop grass. Okay, so now this concoction is very healthy for many different ailments, but in each ailment is a different kind of way that you prepare this concoction. Laliba, if he has that ailment of the heart that we said before, he's got some sort of a weak heart muscle, then bechamra. Then he should take all the above and mix it with wine. V'simonach, and we have a certain memory device that we can get from a pasuk in Tehillim, and that is v'yayin yisamach levav enosh. Levav is the lave, and yayin is good for the heart. Lerucha, if on the other hand he's suffering from something called rucha, which is lack of breath, possibly asthma, then b'maya, then he should take all these herbs that we described, mix them with water, v'simonich, and that pasuk is going to be in Bereshis, says Ruach Elokim Rachefes al Pnei Hamayim. So once again, because the problem is Ruach, as we said before, he's short of breath, so the Torah says, take the breath of God, which is hovering over the water. So we mix water. Lechuda b'shichra. A woman after childbirth is weak. She should take that concoction that we mentioned above and mix it with beer. V'simonech, and again, some sort of device for remembering this, is v'kada al shichma, which again refers to Rivka when Eliezer was going out to look for a marriage partner for Yitzchak. And there's a similarity here with the word shichma and shechar, although you only have 2 out of 3 of the letters. Rav Hachabrei the Rav Shachik lahu, right? We said that shchika samana means to grind the herbs. V'kulu b'hadei adodi. He took them all together. He ground them, and shakale mala chamesh etzbosai. This is called malei chafnaim when you take something in the full hand, a fistful. V'shasile, and he would drink it with whatever liquid was relevant, whether it be yayin, whether it be mayim, whether it be shechar. However, of Ashi, shachik kol chad v'chad lechude, he felt that you should grind each one of the herbs, each one of the ingredients in this concoction separately. And v'shakel malei etzba rabasim malei etzba zutri, and he would take a pinch of each to add to the liquid. So in other words, he didn't use the entire herb after the entire contents after it was ground, but rather he would take only a pinch of each one of those components, and then he added it to one of those 3 liquids that we mentioned before. I tried all the different the different methods of mixing this and so forth. Nothing worked for me. Remember we said that a tire is an Arab merchant that goes from town to town selling his goods, and he picks up wisdom on the way. Kuza is a receptacle for liquids. Charita means a new one. Mali Yamayim, fill it up with water. For Rami de Tarvada de Dufsha. Add a spoonful of honey, makes the medicine go down. De Tolile Be Kochavi. And how somehow you have to leave this mixture of mayim and dvash overnight. De Tolile Kochave, after you leave it under the stars overnight. L'macharish, they drink it on the next day. Avdi hachi, I did this, v'itze, and it worked for me. Okay, everybody could appreciate drinking water with honey. Tana Rabbana, we learned in the Brisa, Shisha Dvar Merapes Hachol Michal Ufasam Ruah. refuah. Again, I think the Gemara is pushing for the mitzvah of ushmartem miodas nafshel seichem. So with these medical remedies and advices, we'll be able to strengthen the body. The Eluhem, and what are these six kinds of, not all of them are food, some of them are part of an animal bodies, but they will help you and cure you. Kruv is cabbage. Tardin is beets. In modern Hebrew, it's spinach, but in the Gemara's language, it's beets. But even today, I mean, beets are supposed to be very, very healthy for you. And then kevas. Again, kevas is a part of the animal. Apparently, it's like a membrane that surrounds the intestine. Heres. Heres is taken from a female animal. That's the womb that holds on to the fetus. Yoseres hakoved, which is called in English the diaphragm. Yesh omrim af dogim ktanim, small fish like sardines and the like. I know that there are diets. I'm not sure how popular they are, but where they, like the mainstay of your diet is sardines. So it seems that the Gemara is really in favor of eating sardines and the like small fish because they strengthen the entire body. There are 10 things that a sick person, even after he's cured, should avoid because it'll reverse the situation. It even makes it more, he's more sick than he was before. So he eats the fatty meat of an ox. Besar tzli, roasted meat. I wouldn't put that in a negative category. I mean, who doesn't eat roasted meat? Besar tziporin, that's supposed to be very healthy. And it's low cholesterol. So I don't know, our science is a little different than theirs. Ubeitza tluya, roasted egg. What's wrong with a roasted egg? Right? It's got protein. V'shachalium, again, we said that was cress, a certain kind of growth. Tiglachas, what's wrong with taking a shave? Okay, maybe not during the 3 weeks, I don't know. But berchatz, going into a bathhouse, ukvina, eating cheese, v'koven, and eating liver. So again, it's not clear to me why these things, like fatty meat and so forth, are so detrimental to the health. Yeshom Rafa gozen, walnuts are not healthy. I don't know, in my book, walnuts are considered very healthy, but yesh omrim af kishuim. I mean, kishuim in the Lashon HaShas are cucumbers. We call them malafafonim. But I don't know how healthy they are, but they're in a positive sense, but they don't damage your body. Tana de Bei Rabbi Shmuel, lo menikra shmon kishuim, minei shem kashim l'chol gufo shel odom, Kecharevos. Ein mistaprim mehem b'chol makom. Rabbi Meir is very machmir not to take a haircut from an idolater anywhere. And it makes no difference whether it's in private, which is according to everyone prohibited, or whether it's in public where the Chachamim were makil, they said that the barber will not kill you because it's public and he'll get caught. Apparently, if a Jew is taking a haircut from an akum and he sets up a mirror, and that mirror allows him to see everything that that the barber is doing with his knife, then that will inhibit the barber from slashing his back. Okay, if an idol worshiper is being barbered by a Jew, when the Jewish barber reaches the bloris, which is some sort of a round ponytail that comes out of his head on the back, is shomedes yodo. He should avoid that whole area. We'll see how far from the area he has to go, because he might be helping out the Ovei Kochav because this was part of their idolatry. Omar Mar Yisrael Amistapir Mi Ovei Kochav Robe Mar Hechi Domi. Well, why do you? I mean, either you don't need the Mara or it's ineffective. Either Shusaram, you don't need the Mara, Lomali Mara, because the barber, the idol worshipping barber is very inhibited because it's a public thoroughfare. The Yachid, where he can just simply slash you in the back, is Kira Maihavi. Well, what do to make if the Jew who's being barbered is holding on to a mirror, and it's it'll take him a second for the barber to just cut him up over there. So Leola Sayachid. So now we have to figure out in Rosh Hashanah, everybody, whether it's Rav Meir or the Chacham, agree that you're not allowed to take a haircut at an idolater barber. So what good is it if he has a mirror? And the Gemara says, "Keva de Ika Mara Mischazi Kadam Chosh." So the Mara, this mirror that's being held by the person who's taking a haircut, is not meant to deter the barber because, oh, I'm watching you. That's not going to be effective. But rather, the barber realizes that not everyone is so, meticulous in society to make sure that when he takes a haircut, he has a mirror in front of him, and he wants to make sure that everything is cut exactly the way he wants to. He must be like a governmental official or some very important person. So that impression that the barber gets that he's cutting the hair of somebody very important, that's going to inhibit him from killing the Jew. Rav Chana bar Biznam mistapnov karo b'shvil denarda. Okay, there's a place called Shvila denarda. Now, technically, Shvila denarda, the byways or highways of Narda, are not considered Rishus Harabim, because for Rishus Harabim you need many different conditions to be fulfilled. You need an area that's 16 amos on 16 amos wide. You might need shishim ribu, whatever you need. But it is a public area in the sense that people see what's going on. Amalei, so initially, when the rabbis found out that Chana bar Bizna went ahead and he took a haircut by the non-Jewish barber, etc., they said to him, Chana, Yoi koyach lezuga? Is your throat appealing to the razor, meaning that you're lending yourself to this idolater who's going to cut your throat? Omar of Chana said, Tesili di Avri ad Ravi Meir. Yeah, you're right. Maybe this is a problem for me because I violated Rabbi Meir, because Rabbi Meir made an absolute prohibition of being cut by an idol worshiper. But at least according to Rabbanan, who said in a public area, you're allowed to. So I'm okay as far as the public is concerned. So Gemara says, "Rabbanan lo avar emad yom Rabbanan b'shus harabim shus hayachid mi amur." The Gemara holds now that shvili dinarda have the status of rishus hayachid, because again the conditions halachically to set up rishus harabim are very, very complicated, and shvili dinarda do not live up to those conditions. And the Gemara answers, but who saw Rav Chana was of the opinion that we don't need a halachic rishus harabim, but shvili dinarda came the shchichi rabim kishus harabim domi. For the halacha of sakana from a idolatrous barber, shvili dinarda, since it's a public area, there are many people go there, that's a rishus harabim. Again, it's not a rishus harabim for other dinim. For example, for Shabbos, for Meleches Hotzo, would not qualify as Rishus Harabim, but is Rishus Harabim for this din. The Ovei Kocham HaMistap Yisrael, Kevin Shegiel LeBloriso, Shomed Es Yodo, Vikama. How much of an area around the Bloris should be left? I mean, Shamot means he, the barber, should pick up his hand and not cut. And here we have two opinions. Omer of Malkia, Omer Avoda bar Ava, Shlosha expos l'chol ruach v'ruach. 3 finger breadths in every direction. Now, notice the name of this Amora is Rav Malkia. There's another Amora by almost an identical name called Rav Malkio. And we've had this in the past where the Gemara goes out of its way to, because Omer Dov B'Shem Omro Mevi Gulol, to make sure that we know which of these 2 rabbis was the one who ruled that ruling. So therefore the Gemara says, Omer Rav Chanina Breid Rav Ika, I'll give you a list, I think it's 3, if I'm not mistaken, 3 rulings of Rav Malkio. Malkio, we're dealing with Malkio, but Malkio. And that's Shapud, Shvachos, Vegumos, Rav Malkio. However, Bloris, which is our halacha, and Efer Mikla, and Gvino, that's Rav Malkio. So we have to know who said what. Now, in the case of a Shapud, which is what's called Dover Shemaviro Ba'esh, right? It's something that is used as a spit to roast meat over an open fire. And just one second. Okay, so this has to do with tiltul muktzah on yontif. And there was one opinion in the name of Shmuel that the spit should not be removed. In other words, you could roast on yontif, it's meleches al nefesh, but after the roasting is finished, you should not remove the spit because it's muktzah. However, Rav Malkio says that the spit may be removed, but only b'shinui. So you have to know more about Hilchas Muktzah. Then, as far as shvachos are concerned, let's say there are certain household tasks that a Jewish wife is obligated to fulfill, and the Tanna Kama holds that if she brings a maidservant into the marriage, then she's exempt from all those works, all those tasks. But Rabbi Eliezer disagrees, and he holds that even if she has 100 maidservants, but we're worried about shiamum. Shiamum is idleness, so we really want her to do the work, even though she could easily ask one of our 100 maidservants to do so. She has to do it herself. And Rav Malkio says that we paskin l'chumra like Rabbi Eliezer. And finally, the last halacha of Rabbi Malkio is gumos. So gumos has to do with shtei saros that determine gadlus, and you need shtei saros in an area of a private area. And Rav Malkio says that if you have 2 gumos, which are pores, even if there are no hairs growing out of those pores, the fact that there are pores there gives us a chazaka that we assume there once were hairs. So if you have 2 pores, it's equal to 2 hairs. Okay, then we have Rav Malkio, and Rav Malkio, then we have Rav Malkio, and Rav Malkio we saw in Bluris that you should remain at a distance of 3 etzbos of the Bluris. Then there's Efer Makla Ugvina. So Gvina is a sugya that we're going to get to in less than a week about Gvinas Akum. We're not sure if Gvinas Akum is prohibited because of kashrus issues, like they mix in lard into that cheese, or it might be a problem in the way they prepare the cheese with what's called the keva, which is nevela. And with regard to scorched ash, which is called Efer Makla, Rav Malkia rules in the Gemara Makis that you are not allowed to take ash from an oven and put it onto an open wound because it might have an intense heat of the oven and it might be like a tattoo and leave an indelible mark in the skin. Omar Papa, Masnisa to Masnisa Rav Malkia, Shmatata Rav Malkia. Whenever we see something in a Mishnah or a Brisa, we're not sure whether it's Malkio or Malkia. It's always going to be Rav Malkia. But whenever we see a debate amongst Amoraim, you should always know for sure it's Rav Malkia Besimana, and I'll give you a memory device. Masnisa Malkasa. Right? The statement of a Masnisa, meaning of a Tana, is a queen. And Malkia in the feminine is a queen. My Beinaihu. So what's the difference here between Rav Papa and Rav Chanina? They both seem to be saying the same thing in different words. The Gemara says, there's an afkamina here, Lagabi Shvachos, meaning who was the author of the halach of Shvachos, that we pass like Rebbe Lezer, L'chumra, that even if she has Meah Shvachos, she still has to do these works. So according to Reb Chanina, this ruling concerning maidservants is Rav Malkiyo. But according to Rav Papa, since it's in a Mishnah, therefore it's attributed to Malkiyo. Because Malkiyo is anything in the Mishnah. Okay. Ad kan hakofa aleph for today.